recap.
On Monday, September 23rd, a routine traffic stop in Rexburg led to an extended road closure when a mysterious device was found in the back of a car. This later sparked many conversations about proper ways to communicate important information online in crisis situations. On that day, the Rexburg Police Department reported on their Facebook page that the Idaho Falls Bomb Squad determined that the devices were commercial mortars. Commercial mortars are a type of non-threatening fireworks. The situation ended and the road was deemed safe once again. However, the city of Rexburg did not expound on this Facebook post that day, leading to many unanswered questions and rumors online about what happened and what a commercial mortar was. A similar case of handling crisis communication is observed with responses to the recent hurricane on the East Coast this month. Vox Media reported Juliet Kaim saying, "Misinformation is not uncommon in disasters. They come on fast. People see things that don't end up being true. I think in many ways, what we're experiencing now is purposeful lying." To combat rumors and other communication discrepancies, the Federal Emergency Management Agency constantly updates its response pages online. These examples show the importance of giving the audience the full and updated truth before rumors or unanswered questions skew the public's perception of a crisis.
Awesome. This week on Stratezine, we'd like to talk about how Gen Z is quickly becoming an undeniable force in the consumer market, with an estimated purchasing power of $360 billion in the US alone. This tech-savvy and socially conscious demographic demands the attention of brands across all industries, as their influence continues to grow both in spending habits and brand loyalty. To effectively capture the interest and engagement of this younger audience, brands must adapt their online strategies and meet Gen Z where they are, on the social platforms and channels that they trust most. In today's discussion, we want to dive into what key tactics brands should implement to resonate with and attract this Gen Z audience. I'm Jonas Boyer.
And I'm Addie Duke, and joining us today is Abby Nelson. Abby is a creative marketing and professional and is pursuing a master in design, management, and communication.
We also have with us Jason Reeder. Jason is an advertising professional and has his master's in integrated marketing communications.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Of course.
So to start, platforms like YouTube and TikTok, which push content with AI to users that they will likely find entertaining, generate the most reach to other platforms. So recently, Instagram has seen a 24% increase in time spent on the platform because of AI reel suggestions. Facebook also reports the amount of daily Gen Z users in the last 3 years because of the introduction of reels, even pushing them to start testing features aimed at attracting more Gen Z users. And brands should be noticing that Gen Z is online and consuming more digital media more than ever before.
A Media Tools article on marketing campaigns states, "Whatever you do, make sure you're authentic and entertaining. Gen Zers have a penchant for funny, creative content that resonates with their experiences. Keep your content engaging, relevant, and true to your brand identity. This is the key to capturing Gen Z's attention." How does this information affect brands and the types of content that they should be creating? What do you guys think?
I just would start here. As marketing professionals, we're constantly creating content that we want to tell a story about. And our goal with that story is to resonate with the target audience. So yes, we're seeing these changes, but we've always seen these changes. Now we're just adapting to a Gen Z market. But ultimately, we want to tell those authentic stories to who we're talking to. Mm-hmm. And now we have this generation up and coming that now we're starting to adapt to. So that's how I've seen it happen. Jason?
I guess the thing that comes to my mind is just making sure we're doing our homework, doing a lot of research. So, you're kind of talking about making sure that the content, is funny or entertaining or resonates, but with their experiences. So what are their experiences, right? So we got to kind of learn, like, what are they into? What are they doing? And that becomes like, that goes all kinds of places depending on your brand, and who you are. But I think we need to know our audience, kind of those fundamental answers, but know your audience and what they care about, what they're interested in, and then let that guide the content that you're creating and how you approach it.
Right. Let's focus a little bit on the slide that we talked about in the beginning about how there's been a 24% increase in users on Instagram and the most users on Facebook because of the introduction of Reels. If this is the kind of content, what do you guys think? Should brands be focusing on creating this Reel content, or should they be putting their efforts elsewhere?
I think it depends on what their goal is. So what I feel like I've seen with Reels is Reels are a great way to get reach. So if you're trying to reach a larger audience, then Reels is like super effective. If you're trying to increase engagement, then I feel like engagement is actually a little bit higher in some other types of content that you can post on Instagram, even from, just like a static image or a carousel or a slider. I feel like those, from what I've seen, tend to get a little bit more like comments and people liking things and whatnot. But Reels gets high reach. The algorithms are pushing those out and they're getting in front of a lot of people. So I think it depends on what you want. Are you wanting to have a really strong kind of, I guess, discussion or some high engagement with your audience and kind of building community, or are you just trying to get your content in front of a lot of people? So Reels does that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Said it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So among a popular app called Gen Zers use, the Snapchat, states that 3/4 of Gen Z say that they are more likely to be loyal to a company that speaks to social issues, posts information, or has advertisements about social change. So we can see that this generation cares a lot about issues. Forbes also mentioned in their article, Connecting with Gen Z, Effective Strategies for Brands, that it's not always about selling products anymore, but mostly about selling a brand story. They also care about connecting with customers on a deeper emotional level.
So do you guys have any thoughts about what's said here about that Snapchat states about the content that they should be creating?
I think we're talking a platform here.
Mhm.
So we're talking different than a brand, right? So a platform, that's the goal of Snapchat, is this connectivity. And so they're going to take this and say, yes, brands do this because they want your brand to succeed on their platform. So as a brand, when you're putting together content, right, you're going to put different content together for a Snapchat versus Instagram versus Facebook, because that's the ultimate goal on those platforms. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your guys' thoughts on that. To move forward, a recent study from Statista.org shows that the top reasons people are using social media are to connect with friends and family. But in contrast, many are using it just to fill time.
Also, Campaign Monitor surveys results show that 84% of Gen Z consumers say their favorite brand treats them like an individual. In the report, they state Gen Z consumers value uniquely tailored experiences and are more likely to choose brands that understand and cater to their individuality. By investigating in genuine relationship building and personalization, you can rise above the generic strategies of your competitors. What can brands do to give Gen Z this individual experience? What do you guys think?
I'll start with this one. So I feel like we see this a lot right now, right? It's huge with AI suggestions. We see it in customer loyalty programs. We've hit a whole different stage of marketing where we segment audiences, and we have that ability, right? We didn't have that ability before. Now we can go in and we can see where our audiences are at. We can see what they're interested in, and we can really dive into the psychographics of what our audience are and what they like and what they do. And so I think taking advantage of that now, if you're not, you're missing an opportunity as a brand to really share your story in an authentic way to those who are genuinely interested. And that's where we see that conversion, and that's when we actually are successful. So
I would add, I mean, I agree. Like, in addition to like understanding them from like the psychographics standpoint, from like their beliefs or values, things like that, is data. Collecting as much data as possible that is now again available, that we can, and if we get that data, on their behaviors and kind of what they're consuming, things like that, then we can then customize experiences for them, right? We know what they're looking at, we know what they care about, we know what they're interested in. And if we're leveraging that data, then we can make it very personalized. I mean, and we've seen people been doing this for a while, right? Netflix, you've got your suggestions, Amazon, Spotify, we could go on and on, right? And so, but we love it. And that's their data companies, really, at the end of the day, is they're collecting information about our behavior, and then they are offering up those personalized experiences. So I think a lot of it centers around data and being a really good, I guess, data collector, but not only collecting it, but doing something with it, because otherwise it's not really useful.
Right.
Very true.
We've talked a little bit before in some of my classes about how, as social media marketers, we need to play the game, right? Do you feel like playing this game is giving individuals like this Gen Z audience that individual experience? Do you understand my question?
Maybe give me some more.
So like what I mean by playing the game is that like there's a lot of content that like we talked about earlier that resonates with a Gen Z audience. Do you feel like there's certain kinds of content that they should be producing that's playing that social media game that will help users feel individual, and why do you think that would make them feel like they're receiving an individual experience? Does that make sense?
A little bit. I think we use the term play the game as use all the pieces you have in front of you, right? So if we have all of these tools and all of these abilities, like Reels on Instagram, you have to play the Instagram game, right? You have to adapt your content to then customize to that platform. So I think when you hear the term play the game, I think we hear that a lot as social media practitioners and getting in there of like, okay, but what is the game? What's the new algorithm? But it's just staying up to date and using the tools wisely and adapting them to your brand story. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So one example of brand providing an individual experience for their target audience is Sephora and their personalized shopping experience. So Gen Z wants personalized recommendations, like we've said, especially in their shopping experiences, whether that be through the apps, ads, website, or emails. So I'm actually a part of Sephora's target audience, and so I'm a rewards member with them, and I found that I like them better because they recommend personalized items to me than that like I would use and that I would like. So I think that's super important with the brand.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for sharing. Brands like Duolingo and Nutter Butter have aggressively changed their marketing strategies in the last couple of years in order to appeal to this Gen Z audience by having more outrageous content. Here's 2 examples by what we mean of this outrageous content.
Yes.
What's wrong, sweetheart?
Here comes Nadia. Where's Nadia? Loud.
And we also have an example from Duolingo that we'd like to show as well. So there's been an obvious shift, right, from their other strategies. How do you feel that this shift in marketing strategies will affect brands down the road?
I don't think we know yet. I guess, what do you guys think? I mean, so my big thing with some of this is, there's a lot of kind of just unhinged kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm the old guy now, right? I'm like, what in the heck just happened?
Yeah.
What did my eyes just see? And, it's definitely interesting, entertaining, funny, whatever. But like, my big thing is, again, you're like, how does that align with their just overall like brand strategy, brand values, like who they are, like what about that speaks to them as like a cookie, as a snack, as an offer? Does that make sense? Like, and so, and maybe again, it's just a whole different approach, but like I think it's yet to be seen, with trying to write on these trends, kind of this interesting unhinged content, like, will that lead to profitability and long-term success? Or is it people chasing a trend, chasing, a style, if you will, that's going to actually maybe stray away from who they are as a brand and their kind of their brand values.
Right.
And is that causing a long-term problem in trying to increase short-term profits?
Right.
I don't know yet.
I feel like I think that's really valid because I mean, what I think about is their other audiences, because they have this Gen Z audience that's online, right? And that's who they're trying to appeal to with this kind of content. But how is this affecting their other audiences? How, like you said, you feel like it's outrageous, right? It's a little different, it's weird, but
yeah, you've got to be careful that you're not alienating other audiences. So, I love Nutter Butters,
Yeah.
but not because of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, but if maybe they've already got me, like it's like as far as like enjoying it and like appreciating it as a snack or whatever, it's like, I like Nutter Butters. Is that going to change I mean, that doesn't make me hate them necessarily. I don't know that it makes me love them anymore, but maybe for, a younger audience, that's what they need to kind of capture their attention and kind of break through the clutter and have something stand out that they're like, huh. And maybe they go and try it. Maybe that works for them. But I definitely think it's very much probably by generations and audiences and what's going to hit for them, you know, versus others. I can guarantee you if I showed that to like my parents, they'd be like, what the heck? Just like, what?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Why? Like,
Yeah.
so confused, right? While others, again, Gen Z are going to love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I
Addie?
think I want to go back to we're playing the game here. They're playing the social media game,
Totally.
right? They're hitting a new audience. And I think you nailed it on the head when you said they already have you as an audience. So now they're trying to gain a new audience. We've watched this happen for years with every single brand. I mean, we just now have a different platform to play on. And so if you watch, I mean, Coke has been around for 135 years. Facebook started in 2004. And what we did on Facebook in 2004 is so different. Even their look and their identity and what they did has changed. And so I think we're going to continue to see this shift. And that's where the phrase play the game comes in, is like you're constantly evolving and constantly having to change what you produce. But you want to stay close to your, I think that's where we're not quite sure how this is fitting in with their brand values and mission. And so we're like, oh, okay, but you are hitting a different audience. So I think sometimes you have to try things. And we also have seen people do this kind of stuff and then wipe their whole feeds and wipe their whole accounts and come in with something new. And so I think we're just going to continue to see some of this and realize, okay, how does our brand fit into this? And long term, what are our goals here? So
And it might work out for them. I mean, my parents, like a boomer or whatever, who's not spending a lot of time on TikTok or
yeah.
you know, Instagram even, right? They're usually going to be on Facebook or some other places, or just they're getting just kind of some traditional marketing. You know, they're getting, you know, an ad, you know, Hulu ad that's on their streaming service, right? And I can guarantee you, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't expect to see what we just saw with the Nutter Butter on my, like, as even a Hulu ad, you know, as my streaming
Right.
services.
Absolutely.
But because there's just, again, they know that's going to be going in front of a different audience, and it would probably, if anything, confuse them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
While they can get away with it on TikTok or some of these platforms, because they know their audience and know who's
Right,
in
that's
those
where the Gen Z
spaces.
audience
They know
is,
where their
right?
spaces are. They know that, like, we can kind of play this way over here, but if we're doing stuff over here, we can't do that, or it's not gonna perform well. It's gonna fall flat or confuse. But again, still, so you can do that, but again, overall, there's still that element of like, who are they really?
Right.
Because they mean something very different for me than somebody that's looking at the Nutter Butter ad we just saw. Like,
Yep.
totally different vibe to it.
No, exactly. Just to build and I guess to close as well. I like that you talked about meeting them where they are, where the audience is. Nutter Butter gained 700,000 followers in 10 days after launching a campaign like that. And
Well, and we're still talking about it. Like, obviously, it's made an impact.
Right.
Like, we want to talk about it.
so it's hard to say that the brands are losing. I mean, the audiences are losing interest in brands because they're doing a good job at meeting them where they are.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
So like, it would be so, I wish we could have this data, right? So you've increased on how many followers was it?
700,000.
700,000, which is awesome, right?
It's just in 10 days after a video like that was posted.
And so there's that element, which is super impressive. It's interesting, right? To even look at that whole animal. But then at the end of the day, the big question is going to be, what's the profitability, right? So you gained 700,000 followers on, was it Instagram or which platform was it?
I think it was Instagram or TikTok,
which is again great, and then you're gathering this audience, which is awesome. I'm not downplaying that in any way, but it would be awesome to see if they could connect that effort to sales,
right?
Yes.
Conversions.
Like, what did that actually do? Are you just entertaining people, and you're becoming like an entertainment platform or brand, or is it like translating into, I want to actually go buy and eat Nutter Butters?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, I do feel like this helps with brand awareness.
Sure,
they're
totally.
getting their brand out there, and so
Minimum.
maybe when
Yeah,
someone's
minimum.
at the store, they see it and they're like, oh well, I remember this funny content. And I think that's where some of that strategy comes in. But yeah, just to move forward though, so Gen Z is going to be by 2027, they're supposed to be the largest amount of social media users. Right now, I think it's the millennial age group, but in just a couple of years, Gen Z will have the largest market share of users on social media. And so I think it's really wise of brands to be focusing on this audience because of the amount of power that Gen Z has. So thank you guys for joining
Yes,
us
thank you.
today. And thanks for having this discussion with us. And you can join us next week on Stratezine at the same time. Thank you.
Thanks.